up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ultimate Blurs. We are deep in pre-production for season 3, but we have this special episode that I'm so glad we had a chance to get an opportunity to do with Sam Foster. He is a mayoral candidate in the city of Marietta in Georgia, and he's doing some historic major things. So we decided to have him on the show, talk to him, learn some more about his background, learn more about the race, what his platform is, what he's standing for, and just have a cool conversation with, a fellow Blurred, a young person who's out here just trying to make a difference in the community and everything like that. How you doing, Sam?
I am doing amazingly.
Great. It's good to know. I know it's been a real busy time for you with everything going on with the mayor's race, getting your campaign going. Now we're in the final phase of that. Early voting just started. So I know it's getting down to crunch time for you.
Yep.
I'm glad we got a chance to have you here. It was a little bit trying to make sure our schedules could line up, but I'm glad we got to talk to you right at this critical moment, really. Tell people about yourself. We want to hear some about you, people who aren't really in depth in the mayoral race in Marietta. Just give them some of your background and everything like that before we really jump into our conversation.
So, hello, I'm Sam Foster. Obviously, I'm running for mayor of Marietta, Georgia. I have lived here for about 6 years. I came to the city to, study information technology at the KSU Marietta campus. And after I graduated, I kind of fell in love with Marietta, so I decided to stay here. And I live right near Marietta High School, and exploring the city more and getting more involved in local politics, seeing it through a different lens, I started to understand where the power really comes from, where we can really improve people's lives, and that's at the local level. So, there's a lot of people running where I live for city council. I was like, hey, what if I run for mayor?
Right.
And we're here. And
Right.
I've heard from a lot of residents about how they struggle with rising costs of living, how they wish we had a different change in leadership. The mayor's been here for about 16 years. And it's time. It's definitely time. The longer this race has gone on, the more I feel strongly that we need a change in leadership, and I can be that change, and I will be that change.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm a Cobb County Marietta resident myself, so when I saw that you were running, I was immediately intrigued and interested in following up and seeing like what your background was, everything like that. So that's even another reason why I was glad we could jump on this opportunity with having you on the show and everything, because you don't get to talk to somebody who's a 24-year-old mayoral candidate running against a 16-year incumbent. So I'm amazed and definitely glad to be able to have the conversation with you. But with that background, let's hop right into it. So I know from my research I did before we had the episode, you're a tech expert, systems engineer, you're a Gen Zer. You're also a first generation American. So stepping up to help shape the future, especially in this current kind of climate we have nationwide. Tell us a little bit more about your journey to this point. I mean, I know you said you came to Marietta in Cobb County to go to Kennesaw State and everything, ended up living in Marietta. But how does it feel to be pushing boundaries in so many and frontiers in so many different ways, with your candidacy, with being a first generation American, all those type of things? How does that really infuse what you're standing for as you go forward in this journey?
People ask, what type of experience do I have? Why am I running? What is this about? And at the end of the day, what I don't have in corporate experience or being a business owner, I have in lived experience of being a working person. And that is a stark contrast to the people that you see running in any seat, almost any seat in Cobb County. I don't want to, rag on everyone.
For sure.
But the mayor's retired. He's personally wealthy. Almost everybody on city council is that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a city council and a mayor uh, that are not from the same backgrounds of the people that they represent in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
So me stepping into this race, me being black, me having dreads, and me being young, it makes me instantly stand out from what has come before me, and it scares a lot of people. It
For
makes
sure.
people feel like I'm trying to urbanize or you know Atlantify
Right.
Marietta.
We know how that goes. I
Um,
definitely know what you mean with that.
yeah. So that has definitely been that has been the experience of this race, constantly having to prove myself, going to different places, having these conversations,
Mhm.
and understanding like what this represents, especially if we are successful in this race. It represents a leg up for a lot of people because they have never had a working class mayor represent them in the city ever.
Right.
Not one time. Regardless of if I'm black or whatever, never has there ever been somebody who is a first generation American, comes from a working class background. I was working 30 hours a week, $12 an hour, working full time at KSU.
Right.
Uh, so the stark contrast is really in who I am as a person, my background, and what I fight for and represent.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And I mean, I know it's what you mean with all of that. Definitely, soon as you walk in the room, black with locks, people gonna look at you differently, across a
Do you
wide
belong here?
range.
Do you work here?
Right, exactly. Across a wide range of contexts, not even just this particular one, running for mayor. Just you could walk, I'm sure plenty rooms you walked into at KSU was like, why are you here? Like,
So I grew up in Rockdale County,
mhm.
kind of. I spent most of my time in Georgia in Rockdale County. Came here in like
Okay.
2013,
Mhm.
and it's like 60-70% black.
Right.
All the residents of Rockdale. I came here to Cobb County. I was like, I'm a minority.
Right.
I was like, whoa.
Exactly. It's crazy. So, I mean, I definitely feel that. And I'm glad that you have that lived experience because people can't take that away from you. Like, they can say, oh, you haven't had this type of job, that type of job. But I mean, having those experiences throughout your life, that'll teach you something. That'll really give you a foundation for understanding right and wrong, what people need, working class people, all that type of stuff that is definitely overlooked in politics and most of the time. So I'm
Real.
definitely glad to hear you say that that's been your inspiration for your life and this mayoral race. So for sure. Another question. I know you spent your career as a systems engineer, as someone who's building systems, solving complex problems, connecting pieces. How do you see that problem solving skill and expertise that you've had to build in your career coming to, your mayoral race and being mayor in your leadership style?
So a lot of that comes down to like my analysis of systems.
Mhm.
I don't just want to look at one problem, fix it, one problem, fix it. I want to see where that problem was born from. I want to see what caused this series of problems to happen. When we're looking at what IT involves, a lot of that involves automation,
Mhm.
making systems more efficient, and setting it up to where the thing that happens is something that you wanted to happen.
Right.
And by that, I mean, you have a system that creates an expected set of results.
Mhm.
And right now, we have a system that creates an expected set of results. But
Right.
we're not talking about it that way because that system benefits people who are already benefiting from it. So, why do
Mhm.
we see homelessness in Marietta? Why do we see that one side of Marietta has increased levels of poverty?
Mhm.
Why is it not viable for people to get around with public transit? Why can't people afford homes? And
Right.
people are going to then go say, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. I'm like, hold on, let's look under the entire thing and let's set it up to where there's a system where we're not over here putting out fires. We are suppressing it at the root.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about engineering or whatever else, that's what that involves, analyzing systems. So that is the approach that I've taken to this race. It makes people think I am too idealistic, but I say,
Mm-hmm.
no, you lack imagination. I'm
Right.
sorry, sir.
Right.
We have so many things that we can do to make people's lives better.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not fighting to make people's lives better, what are we doing in public office? I refuse to engage in this mindset that we shouldn't be able to, we shouldn't be doing everything that we can to make people's lives better. We have so many powers at the local level that we're just not engaging in.
Mm-hmm.
We're not exploring creative solutions to, like I mentioned, homelessness, transportation costs, housing costs. We can do it. All we have to do is have the imagination to enact on those plans.
I feel that definitely, and I'm glad that you have that kind of framework. That's come from your tech career and everything to really understand that and to have I mean, I don't feel like idealism is a bad word. It's like we need some of that. We need some optimism, idealism, because it's too easy to just be like, oh, this hasn't happened because it can't happen when it's just nobody's actually tried. So that's definitely a refreshing kind of mindset to have going, like you said, going into public office. If you're not helping people, what's the point? So with that, I wanna get to kind of a little more local of a
Mhm.
question. What do
Yep.
you love most about Marietta right now? Because we don't want people to think that you think it's just all terrible. So what do you
I
love
would
most
say,
about it right now?
I would say broadly the people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, coming here, seeing the community, how tightly knit it is.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people like to say it's a small city. It's not. It's a
Right.
very big city. Um, but how tightly knit people are, regardless of that. Some of these historic neighborhoods, and you talk to some people, they're like, "Yeah, I've known this person for 30 years." Got people who are voting for me, like, "Yeah, I'm friends with the mayor's family."
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartening to see how we can have such a strong community in such a big city.
Right.
And I respect that, and I do not want to change that. And I look forward to engaging with that community
Mm-hmm.
uh, going forward.
For sure. And but I mean, I definitely appreciate that answer. And I understand loving the people. What do you feel like out of all the different surrounding areas and whatever it may be, what makes Marietta special to you as a resident besides the people?
I would say the square is
Mm-hmm.
probably the biggest attraction, and that's because from an architectural standpoint, I'm not a civil engineer or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess you understand some of the terminology as you are
Right.
in these spaces. Um, it's one of the most unique and walkable places inside the entire Metro Atlanta region,
Mm-hmm.
and it is such a unique little place inside a place that is so car dependent, that is so like in Atlanta, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You go to downtown Atlanta, you go to Midtown, wherever, there's literally a highway, an interstate cutting through the middle of the city.
Right.
We don't have that in Marietta. We
That's
just don't.
true.
And it gives this cohesion to the downtown area that I don't see in almost any other city in the Metro Atlanta region.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what attracted me to stay primarily after I graduated college.
Okay.
And I think it is the main draw for Marietta for a lot of people. I mean, even anybody who talks about running in Marietta, they always talk about the square.
Right.
And that is the most prized possession that we have as a city.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, when I first moved into the area, I didn't know about Marietta Square, and then when I found out about it, it was like, all right, let me go walk, let me go see what shops are around, all that type of
Exactly.
stuff. And it's just like anytime I want to go for a walk that's not just around my house, it's like, oh, let me just drive over there because it's
Yep.
such an amazing space to just be out, get some fresh air, sit by the fountain, and you got places like the was it the Strand Theater, things like that, where you have so many different things to do in the area
Yep.
besides just shop or eat. and is an interesting amalgamation of just places to have fun, exist, spend some time. That's not, oh, I have to drive to this shop and drive to that shop.
That's kind of feels in place. Like, I used to live in, like I said, Rockdale. We had the Old Town. We had Old Town Conyers, and you had to drive there to do it. Like, you had to just drive there,
right?
And it's such a small little place. It doesn't really have any character around it. It's just like a historic little tourist district. And then we do have a little bit of a vibe that in Marietta, but it is actually like a cohesive place with all of this like deep rooted, impactful history, and people like have family ties here going back generations. It is very unique, and you can see it when you walk into the area,
Exactly, for sure. And I'm glad they kept that space up and understand it as, the gem of the area that it really is. Because there's a lot of places that would have redeveloped it into something and just let it lose all the character it has. So that's really good. So with that, we gave the little love letter to Marietta. Now down to what you feel like, where you see the biggest gaps are that you need fixing in the city. I know your platform, you're running on, affordable housing, infrastructure redevelopment and investment, things like that. But just give kind of a rundown of where you feel like Marietta can do better and be better for the people of the city.
So from a bird's eye view, I really think we can do a better job of being responsive. And what that really means is making that pipeline more direct between what people want and what they get from their local officials.
Okay.
When I am talking to a lot of people, elected officials throughout the entire county, but obviously specifically in Marietta, the things I want and the plans I can point to, all the different studies that we've done, I'm like, what's the status on this project? Where are we with this? Why hasn't this been done? Is there any progress on this? Nobody can give me answers, or they say no. And I say, hey, didn't you say this was a goal of ours? They're like, you don't get any really clear answers.
Right.
It seems like we're spending all this time asking people what we want, asking people what they want, so we can put it in a nice planning document, and we don't actually believe in it, so we don't do it. So that's the broad view. But specifically, the things that I want to see implemented in Marietta, like I said, I want to see more housing affordability, and not just housing affordability. I want to see more housing options. Nobody can live at the square. It's not possible because there's no housing there.
Right.
And every time we talk about building housing, it's always out far in some subdivision over in like the edges of the city. They're tearing up green space to build this subdivision or whatever. Even if it's an apartment, it's an apartment subdivision.
Right.
So building where people already want to be, creating vibrant city centers. And I don't just want it to be the square. I want Powder Spring Street to be a destination. I want Franklin Gateway to be a destination. I want the Loop next to the bus station to be a destination.
Right.
So when we're talking about lowering costs when it comes to housing, yes, I do want more affordable housing. But we also have to make sure that people are able to live where they actually want to be, and they don't have to be forced to live, far the way out over on Delp Road or something.
Right.
When that's not a destination, that's where we just put the multifamily housing.
Right.
And then when it comes to bike and pedestrian safety, I really want us to invest in that as a real way to get around in the city. You've seen all the videos that I bike around the city as primary form of transportation.
Right.
And
you have a bike social club too, don't you?
Yes, every Saturday, 10 a.m. right in front of the Marietta Square Market Food Hall. People view it as a little bit of, it's cute, I guess.
Yeah.
people legitimately like it, but some people are like, why do you care about bikes? It's because not only is it fun, and I will never apologize for that. It's fun, but it also is about space savings and cost savings. When you get somebody to walk or bike, how much infrastructure do we have to invest to get that person from point A to point B?
Right.
I can't give you an exact number, but I can tell you with 100% certainty, it is cheaper than car infrastructure.
For sure.
Much cheaper. That's just facts.
Right.
What are we going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a few miles of a protected bike lane? or millions of dollars to add another lane to a road.
Right.
And when you look at it that way, we're saving space. And when we build that infrastructure, it's cheaper to maintain because instead of carrying a 5-ton vehicle, we're carrying a 300-pound thing that's moving
Right.
Across the road. So it saves us money. It saves us space. It also helps businesses because when you're at eye level, when you're able to slow down and look at your environment, it gives more foot traffic to some of these businesses. And it really creates a vibrant space in a vibrant city center. It also lowers transportation costs. I mean, I bike everywhere that I can. And, for a period of the campaign, I didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. No insurance.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, maintenance is cheap. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
My bike in the background a little bit right there. That's the first bike I bought as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $200.
Okay.
So I'm going off on a little bit of a rant, but bike and pedestrian infrastructure, very, very important for money reasons, for fun reasons, and then also for safety reasons, because there's a lot of residents who don't feel like they're able to bike and walk safely, especially parents who have kids. It's just not a safe way for them to get around right now. So we really got to fix that. And then less traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And that also includes the public transit conversation, although it doesn't necessarily have to. But when we talk about traffic in our city, I briefly gestured towards the idea of expanding lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we expand lanes, we're not reducing traffic. But what we are doing is we are spending money that is not having a great return on its investment. And then we're going to have to spend money to maintain that road as we continue to expand it. Ernest Barrett Parkway is 6 lanes. Mm-hmm. Nothing has changed. Powder Spring Street is 4 lanes. Nothing has changed. They're trying to expand Whitlock Avenue to 4 lanes from Marietta High School all the way down to John Ward Road. It will change nothing.
Right.
So when we talk about less traffic, it's more of me pushing back against the establishment's idea that we're just going to keep expanding lanes and it's going to cut down on traffic. We need to improve our intersection design, especially on roads like Whitlock Avenue, Powder Spring Street / South Marietta Parkway. We need to invest in alternatives, making sure that you're able to get around the city without a car, and that really includes us allowing things to be built closer together.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean, every street's going to be a high rise, or we're going to have buses coming every minute, and nobody's going to be allowed to own a car. But it does mean that when you wake up in the morning, your life will be more convenient. Right. You're going to be able to walk 2 minutes down the street to a coffee shop. You're going to be able to walk to work. You're going to be able to walk to the pharmacy. And that's a big, big, big way that we can cut down on traffic, because when people travel shorter distances, even if they're driving to get somewhere, it means that we won't deal with as much congestion, or we won't have to sit in it for as long. So those are that's like the in-depth ideas that I'm working with.
Okay. I like that, definitely, because you even think about what we were just talking about with Marietta Square. I'm sure with more non-car options, that's a huge amount of people that could just walk or bike to Marietta Square instead of having to find a parking spot. So just that simple type of thing, when you have, for example, the Marietta Farmers Market, having hundreds of people not having to have space for their car, that makes things so much more simple in the area. So
we just had Chalktoberfest, and I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like all this parking and stuff. Like, we're generating so much traffic because we have one of the best downtowns, if not the best downtown in the entire county and the entire Metro Atlanta region. So of course people are going to come for the big event festival that we have over at Marietta Square. Why are we not making deals with other places, other cities, other municipalities to get commuter buses to Marietta Square during Chalktoberfest, so that we can have people coming into the city without driving, so we can cut down on some of that traffic? Because this is traffic that's just for this event. Right. So you could actually deal with this.
Exactly.
Having some of that parking be disincentivized, so people aren't driving straight into the square to park. We have a giant parking lot over on Whitlock Avenue for the government center that I live right across from. It's almost always empty. Why
Mm.
don't we have that be turned into some sort of parking
Right.
so people can park there, and then we have a shuttle take people all the way down to Chalktoberfest, and we can do that
Right.
for multiple places around the city, so people aren't flooding all the way down into South Marietta Parkway, North Marietta Parkway, Polk Street, Church Street. Um, yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I'm ranting.
That makes sense. And I mean, for those who live in the area, they'll understand exactly what you're talking about. I know I do because I've had multiple times where I've come to the square circling, then going to
Yep.
a further street to try to find a spot and everything because it's such a draw for the area. So I'm glad you were able to kind of narrow it down and really talk about your vision for that, because that's super important for anybody that's in the area, anybody who, even if you don't live in the area but come to events in the area, ideas like the commuter buses would make perfect sense. So that's great. Um, I want to talk about next kind of more into your vision of everything, with, like we spoke about before, people may look at you, especially coming from voting who they voted for what, the past 5-6 terms or whatever, and not really be sure, like, oh, I don't like change, things like that and everything. But for 2025 and the future, like, Marietta is growing. How do you feel like you are well placed to kind of bring in new opportunities to the city without losing what people may fear is like the soul of the city, kind of the local flavor and the community connection that's really important to people who live there?
So, uh, what our position in this race is, what it kind of looks like, is, like you said, 24-year-old young kid going up against somebody who's been there for what basically is a political eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of mysteries in this one. Like,
Right.
you want the politician or the candidate to give you a confident answer, like, I'm going to win with 99% of the vote. I'm going to get in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just knocking doors. We've knocked on like 7,000 doors
Mm-hmm.
and counting. I think we're at probably 8,000 by now.
Okay.
We're doing mailers, we're doing texting, blah, 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 this and that. And I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing everything that we can to prove to people and give people confidence that there is a different way forward for the city, and show them that the mistakes of the current administration. But we'll have to see what that looks like. There is no precedent, no comparison.
Right.
So that's that piece. But
Right.
in terms of, uh, I guess, giving confidence, or I guess rephrase that last part, because I kind of misunderstood a little bit.
So for people who are like, they may be on the fence or they might not be on the fence, they might just be like, oh, I'm not voting for you because they're afraid of change and things like that. Like, how do you feel like you are well positioned to be able to bring in new opportunities and improvements without losing the soul of the city, like the local flavor, the community connection and everything that people tout as a high reason that they enjoy living in Marietta?
So people look at some people, we have a lot of support, but there's some
Yeah.
people who think that for some reason, I'm seeking to change the city, like I said at the top, into Atlanta, or
Right.
we're handing over the keys to the city to a 24-year-old, and he's gonna do all these things, and he wants to urbanize it. Like,
Right.
calm down.
Right.
No. The city, a lot of what I have in my platform, and it just so happens that what I believe aligns with it, is the comprehensive plan that the city did and have an update for 2022. It's a lot of the livable centers initiative studies that we did for decades, going back to like 2003. And the bike trail connectivity plan that we did in 2019. Almost nothing that I'm talking about has not been tried somewhere else, has not been proposed in Marietta's plans themselves, or is not an incremental change that we could quickly reverse.
Gotcha.
The changes I'm talking about and the things I want to do primarily have to do with us talking about doing them and putting them in our official planning documents and then not doing them.
Okay.
So when I talk about a lot of these changes, like the commuter bus I talked to you about, specifically the idea of a trolley bus. So I'll switch to that, going around the square or even a little bit around it and going to different key destinations, picking people up. That is in the comprehensive plan. One of their goals is to create a a trolley bus for the square. It's in there.
Right.
So when I'm talking about more and public transit investment and mixed use development and infill development, all that stuff is in there and mentioned and as goals. Reducing vehicular traffic, particularly, is a goal in the comprehensive plan. So when we're talking about these things and when I'm proposing these things, I'm just trying to execute the plans that the city's already put on their website. That's it.
Okay.
So when I have these conversations with people, that's one of the things I bring up, and they agree with them because they were the same people 3 years ago that we surveyed. So when people hear my ideas, when they hear me speak, the responses that people have, the knee-jerk responses. I'm 24. I know. I don't have enough experience. Okay. And these ideas are unrealistic. Nobody has ever told me they don't want housing to be more affordable. Well, most people have not told me they don't want housing to be more affordable. Nobody has told me they want streets to be unsafe for people to walk and bike. And nobody has told me they like sitting in traffic.
Right.
So it's really about what you see in me as a person and what you think is possible, what your values are.
Right.
And a lot of it is really going to come down to that, personalities and what you view as me as a person. What is my character? I think that's what is going to do it for a lot of people. But the ideas themselves, I mean, they're popular. I don't talk about public transit too often. I like public transit. That's probably the most controversial part, but everybody wants housing to be more affordable. If not for others, at least for themselves.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's definitely important. I'm glad that you were able to kind of elaborate on that and everything, because like you said, and I didn't even know it was things that has already been proposed that you're just trying to get executed, because at that point it's just, they don't like the messenger at that point. Because if it's already been in city plans, then it's not anything that's out of the realm of possibility. It's just the current administration not doing it for whatever reason. So that makes sense. To go into that, I do have a question, because I know a lot of people, when they hear about improvements, things like that, especially when it comes to like, housing, things like that. I'm from New York, so I know when people hear affordable housing, they're like, oh, that's great. Then when it's actually built, it's like, oh, well, it's just a little below market rate and people still can't afford it. But the developers got like a huge tax break or something to put 10 affordable units in the building, things like that. So when you're talking about creating jobs, uplifting small businesses, and what's your vision for like making sure that regular people benefit from the progress? It is not just like, oh yeah, we did this thing that barely kind of impacts the core issue, but we're able to tout it as a big improvement, but nobody really benefited from that.
So I guess that gets a little bit into the concept of gentrification.
Definitely.
I think that's at the heart. That's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
When we think about affordable housing, I think we have a couple of mistakes when we think about affordable housing. And the mistake I think that we make is that we make carve-outs for certain people. Affordable housing for seniors, not against it.
Right.
Affordable housing for students, I'm not against that. Affordable housing for veterans. And what we do is we set up so many rules and carve-outs and processes that we have made it so that it is an arduous task to build the housing in the first place. So a big part of what I want to do is affect the market. I want to build more housing so that we meet the demand in housing and the market prices come down. That's one part of it.
Right.
And when we talk about providing incentives for affordable housing to be built, I think that doing tax breaks for developers to build affordable housing, I am not convinced of that being a viable strategy,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like the idea of incentives. What do I mean by that? So developers want to make a return on their investment, of course, but that doesn't mean that we have to give them a tax break in order to get them there. We could say that, hey, I know that you really do not like this parking requirement, or you do not like this density limit. Well, we will increase this and allow you to make more money if you make X amount of percent of units affordable.
Right.
Something like that. And then the concept of a community land trust, where the community starts up a nonprofit and they're able to buy up land and have more influence over the pricing and who owns it, keep it out of the hand of investors. So there's multiple levers that we can pull to deal with this affordability issue.
Okay.
And I want to try all of them.
Okay.
It's not just going to be me making a deal with a couple people to get a few units below average market rates. There's AMI. It's not just going to be about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try everything within my power. I'm one vote, whatever. But whoever is going to work with me to get a lot of these things implemented, we're going to try all of them, because we're dealing with a housing crisis. We can't just say, oh, we're going to work with this housing developer and, they're going to do a couple, whatever, or, oh, we're going to work with Habitat Humanity and build, 8 homes. No, it's got to be, we got to do it's got to be systemic change to the way that we do housing in our city. So those are some of the plans when it comes to affordable housing. And I'm not the type of person who likes appearances or touting statistics. I like results. Mm-hmm. So that is what I'm going to aim for.
Okay. I like that, definitely. Because it's too easy to, as we see in plenty other municipalities, to fall into, oh, we got this one development made, mission accomplished, and it's like, our rent's still high. So, no, not accomplished. We need more. Yep. We need it at scale, not just test environments all over the place. So that makes a lot of sense. With that, I know obviously, you're 24. And we have like a huge population of students, young people in Marietta because, Kennesaw State, all of that type of stuff. How do you feel like how do we get the next generation excited about building their future in Marietta? Like, how do you think how you get young people to see their opportunity here and stay here like you did versus, moving to Atlanta, things like that? Where do you feel like is the vision for making that a viable kind of option for young people to stay here and build here?
So when you go to the KSU campus in Marietta, the first thing that you see is a car shop, mm-hmm. a car dealership, a strip mall, a gas station. Mm-hmm. You don't actually see the KSU campus until you get right up in front of it. Marietta does not celebrate or encourage or invest in the Marietta campus or its environment at all. They don't care. The approach that we need to have when it comes to the KSU campus is integrating them into economic productivity of Marietta. We right now treat treat the KSU campus in Marietta as its own little thing. And when you go over there, you look at how all the parcels are zoned, you look at the transportation options over there. They're horrible. Mm-hmm. It's not designed for a college campus. It just happens to be there. So going forward, what I would want to do is I would want to rezone that area, turn it into a destination. We're not talking about lining all of Highway 41 with all of these car shops and strip malls mm-hmm. and like other businesses, all this industrial stuff. Right. And, directly across from KSU, improving that. And then working with the county to get the bus transportation to be more viable, to be something that people actually want to use, integrating KSU into the environment and allowing that to be a part of Marietta, mm-hmm. Because that is a huge untapped resource. And that's going to allow students to experience the city in a different way. You look at Georgia Tech, it's integrated into that part of Atlanta. Right. We don't have that here in Marietta. So that's pretty much how I deal with that.
Okay. So I know we've been talking about your ideas throughout. I want to know, if elected, what do you feel like is your most innovative idea, maybe inspired by like your tech background, that you'd like to bring to how the city operates in, day to day, or just the larger picture of operations of Marietta?
It's hard to choose one. Um, hmm. I think I would say, oh my God, this is hard. Connecting all of our neighborhoods through bike and pedestrian paths /
Okay.
golf cart paths.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
I live, won't say exactly where,
Hmm.
but I live in an area where I can walk very close to a grocery store
Hmm.
if there was a connection. There's a way to walk through my backyard to get to the grocery store faster. Why is that not an official connection?
Right.
Going through different places and allowing neighborhoods to connect to each other for faster connections for people walking and biking can open up a whole new viable way for people to get around the city. And that could be a real way that people could experience getting out of their cars and not having to spend so much on transportation costs.
Okay. Okay, cool. Um, so we've been talking about, community, everything in Marietta. That's a very core element of the city that draws people to the city. Because Marietta's got such a mix of cultures and stories and communities in the city. How do you feel like you can make sure that everyone feels heard in your administration and seen with, their needs and their concerns with living in Marietta?
I think people are feel seen and heard when they see you,
Mm.
when they see you in their communities, when they see you fighting for them, when they see the things that they want reflected in like the things you're doing or the things that you're trying to do.
Hmm.
So just being accessible, being visible, talking to people like I'm doing right now, like I'm campaigning,
Right.
going out and letting people know I'm here. And then when they see me up making decisions, they're going to see me fighting for the things that they care about and hopefully getting them done. That is the biggest thing that you can do for people and for minority communities, um, making sure that you're putting a spotlight on them. So Juneteenth, I know we have the celebration for that.
Mm.
We could have Pride in Marietta. We don't have that. Different things that we can do for different minority communities, putting a spotlight on them, encouraging them, helping them make their communities more vibrant. So a holistic approach of accessibility, and then using government to make sure that people are able to chase their dreams.
Okay. I like that. Um, you know, with the like I mentioned before, the nationwide climate of politics and everything, trust in leadership is very low, I think, across the board. Like you just mentioned, getting out, being seen, that visibility you mentioned before, knocking doors, all that type of stuff. How do you feel like is very key? And I mean, I know it's late in the cycle of this particular race, but how do you feel like is key? What are key behaviors for a candidate to really show people that government can work for them and is not just kind of a vague kind of over there, the government kind of feel? It's like knowing that you're there to address their problems and make their life in the city better.
I think that really comes down to pointing out people's failures.
Mm.
I know that sounds a little strange, but when people can go somewhere and I tell them and I can point them like, hey, you see that empty lot right there? That's the mayor's fault.
Mm.
Like he vetoed that project that was going to replace an empty Kroger on Powers Ferry and Delk Road. When I go to the 33-acre vacant lot on Franklin Gateway and I say, hey, do you know this vacant lot? It's
Mm.
the mayor's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And when you point out these different ways that the government has failed you and it's harmed your community, and the direct result, I can the actions that I can directly draw to the results
Right.
and tell you what I would have done differently,
Right.
and tell you what options that we do have and what levers that we can pull and who are the stakeholders and who is the one making those decisions. Then it becomes real,
Mm-hmm.
because people don't realize that, hey, you know why you know why you can't open a business here, or you know why this isn't possible. It's because it was zoned that way. It's because every single parcel in the city is restricted to a certain land use case. Do you know why public transit sucks in the city? It's because we're not funding it, and I can draw a direct line, blah, blah, blah. So making sure people know who the stakeholders are, who actually is responsible for the things that they're seeing in the city, and what viable path we have forward to change a lot of those things is how you get people excited and how you get people involved. And when it comes to my race, I am talking about the things that I want to do, and I'm telling people exactly how I want to get there.
Okay.
I'm not hiding anything. And maybe, we get in office and conditions change in terms of, maybe we have another coronavirus pandemic. It's like, maybe we can't do this thing right now. But all of these things I'm talking about, I'm telling you how we're going to get from point A to point B and what solutions I have to our different problems.
Right. It's so important just to make people feel heard. It's too easy for people to just clock out on politics. And, especially right now, you have so many things to deal with in your day-to-day life that hearing, the mayor can, and you're like, well, I can't afford groceries, so I don't really care. So it's definitely good to know that you understand that and have, solutions to getting people engaged more on a civic level. Definitely. So I feel like we ran through a lot of, platforms, what you would do, that type of stuff. I want to get some quick takes from you. I live in Marietta as well, like I said, and I got to know, what's your favorite Marietta hidden gem?
Sweet Living Bakery.
Okay. Sweet Living Bakery. I haven't been there. I need that.
It's good. It's good. You should go.
Okay. All right. Describe Marietta's vibe in one word.
In one word. Deceptive.
Okay. You want to explain that a little bit?
Of course I do. You come into the city and you think of through the way it's built, and they've done a good job of maintaining its character, and I do as well, that it's a small city. It is not. In fact, we would be a bigger city if our city limits weren't so weird, but whatever. Our city is huge,
right?
Genuinely. So how we've been able to maintain a lot of that small town feel, I think that is definitely something that makes it deceptive.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense. What is a tech skill or tool that you feel like every young person should learn right now?
Oh God. Oh man. Whew. A tech or skill everyone should learn right now. You know what? I'm just gonna do it. Linux.
Okay. All right.
Learn Linux. It's great. I'm using Linux right now for this interview.
That is a system engineer right there. Cool. What's one gadget or app you can't live without?
What's one gadget or app? My watch.
Okay. That's fair. And last one, what is one thing that you've learned about yourself through this campaign?
I'm very unique as a candidate. I didn't know that.
You didn't know
that? I was just being myself. We got into the race. I'm like, okay, I'll just, bike down to the park, record this nerdy video about, the city video, whatever, comprehensive plan. And people were like, it's so genuine. I'm like, okay.
Right.
I'm just like, okay. And the way people view the campaign and the things that they see and how they connected with the vision, I got to be honest, it was not something I expected. So I learned that I'm a very unique candidate, I guess, for better or for worse.
Okay, that's fair. Definitely. I mean, like I said, when I found out you were running, I was definitely intrigued immediately because the contrast between the candidates, just your platforms, some of the things you brought to light with what the incumbent has done, it was like, oh, okay, well, we do need some change then, because what's going on for all these terms. So definitely, I like that answer. Um, just for, as we're winding down here, it both in this episode and the election is almost to its completion. Let's say we fast forward to the end of your first term. What do you feel like that would look like in terms of change in Marietta? What's the story you want people to tell about Marietta under your leadership?
Marietta has started the process to becoming a place that welcomes all different types of people, no matter their economic background, particularly when it comes to housing. We've started improving our transportation systems, and it has become safer to walk and bike in Marietta.
Okay.
So the end of the first term would really be about implementing the beginnings of change, because a lot of the things that I want to do are on a longer time scale.
Hmm.
There are some things that can be done quickly, some things that cannot be done quickly. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. And last question. If you could speak directly to the people of Marietta, from Marietta Square to every other neighborhood in the city, what would you say to them about the future that you're fighting for Marietta at large?
The tagline for the campaign has been that we're building a Marietta that's going to work for everyone. And I mean that. When I first came to Marietta, I struggled with the cost of housing.
Hmm.
The dorms are full. So I had to go and look for private housing, private student housing. Too expensive. They charge you per person full rent. Had to go and find some friends, split the rent 3 ways, go live in an apartment. And that whole experience of coming here and dealing with how expensive it is just to exist as a working person, I think that what this campaign is about is genuinely about the majority of people in Marietta, people who are struggling to get by, or people who want to see their city address some of the things that they're going through.
Hmm.
And that is what I'm offering Marietta. I'm offering Marietta a government that is actually going to use its power to fight for them,
Right.
fight to lower the cost of living, fight to make sure that you can get around the city safely, no matter what form of transportation you take. Fight for you to not have to sit in traffic, so you can spend more time with friends and family.
Right.
That is something that has not been run on before in this city, and I will do everything that I can in the position of mayor to fight for those things and advocate for those things.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad we can hear it here first, because that sounds amazing. I'm definitely glad that we got the opportunity to talk with you, man, and let you talk through your vision, really
Thank
give
you.
that in-depth background of what you see as the future and possibility of the city and everything. So I'm glad that we got a chance to speak with you before the election and everything. And I'm glad you were here with us. It's been your boy Recruit Zero. I'm here with Sam, and hopefully when you see this episode, you go vote for him, and then we'll see him as the next mayor of Marietta. So signing off. See you on the next one.